All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program. You know I'm talking Johnny Cuba, European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. How else are you going to enjoy Monday Night Football tonight? Go to johnnycuba.us. You find the nearest location to you. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. You know we love having the comedians on ZASLOW Show 2.0, but we especially love having Dave Williamson on because he is our pal. He is a Miami guy. He loves our sports teams as well. He's going to be here again coming up next month. I've been having Dave on the show for, I've probably been having you on this show now for at least 10 years, right?
Dude, since the beginning, absolutely. Yeah, at least 10 years, man. If not then, I mean, we at least were in each other's like orbits before then, you know. I was a fan back in the 790 days when you were on, I'm trying to think the first show I probably heard you on. It was probably with Boog, right? You were on with Boog back in the day.
Oh my God, I was a child, an actual child. I was in my early 20s, right out of college, doing shows with Boog. Oh my God, I was a little boy.
I was thinking about this recently, just how far the technology's come too, man, because I used to work in the car business there in South Florida back in those days. And I would have to stream it on my computer in my office while I was getting paperwork done to listen to the shows. And it was like so hard to stream stuff back then. It was like such a different world.
790ticket.com. Yeah. That's how you could stream the shows.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it on your phone or anything like that. You had to be at your computer.
Yeah. Or we would, if there wasn't any customers, we could turn the radio on in one of the cars in the showroom and listen.
Isn't it weird how different things were back then where, I mean, so back then when you're listening to the show, there wasn't really texting on phones. Texting really became a thing like around maybe like 05-ish, 04, 05, you know, was kind of like the beginning of texting. There certainly was no social media. I mean, Twitter didn't start until maybe like 09-ish, you know, something like that. Things were so different back then.
I remember sending in, if you wanted to send something into the radio show, you did it by like AOL email. Like you emailed something in and there was some intern who probably had to sit there and read through the inbox.
How much has now we'll get to your shows. You're going to be here coming up next month. I want to talk to you about the Dolphins yesterday as well. But what's been the biggest difference for you in comedy then from say 20 years ago to now? I would have to imagine just being able to promote yourself is so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going back 20 years, then everything has changed. But I mean, I think the biggest thing that has changed in my career is that when I was a young comic coming up in South Florida and kind of going through the because there's no blueprint for this career, right? But you're going through the different stages of deciding that this is something you want to go for. And at one point, I asked every successful headliner that came through the local improvs that I was opening for, like for advice. And every single one of them said at some point, you have to move to New York or LA. Like, it's just, if you want to take this serious, you have to be one of those two cities or have a presence in one of those two cities. And I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore. I mean, I still think it helps being in New York or LA. But you know, there's other scenes that have developed into places that it's like kind of hip for them to like discover talent from. And also the scenes are so good there, you could become a good comic getting sets in those cities. Like Austin, obviously, is an easy one to name. Denver, Nashville. A lot of comics have moved to Nashville. So those are like cities that have a lot of things going on, not too far behind LA and New York. And then also, you don't have to be out here to get on a TV show to build an audience. You can build an audience through podcasting and YouTube and social media. So yeah, there's definitely a lot less of just having to like be in the machine, and you can create your own machine to say, your own vehicle.
I feel like one of the negatives could be because of social media and because your stuff gets out there so fast. Do you have to come up with new material quicker?
That's the other thing. When I was coming up, we used to set a camcorder up in the back of the room and film it, but we were just filming our sets so we could watch ourselves and learn, where we maybe needed to like write a new joke or change something or whatever. Everyone used to say, do not post that on YouTube. You cannot burn your material. You have to save your material until you're doing a special or something. And now people cannot burn their material fast enough. Like it's way more valuable to put your clips up and get some views and get followers so you can sell tickets on the road. And then you know what? If it's a good joke, people just do those jokes on the road anyways, even if they put them up on social media before.
You know, is it hard? Because something in radio, like when I used to do a 4-hour radio show, especially when I used to do it by myself, you're repeating things. You know, it's not 4 straight hours of new material, and you have listeners who are tuning in and out throughout the 4 hours. So you're repeating things. You're essentially playing the hits, but you're finding a new way to say these things. You know, you can't find a new way to say these things because the joke lands, the joke hits a certain way. So like when you're playing 2 shows in one night, you're doing a 7 p.m. and then you're doing a 9:30. Does it get hard when you get to the second show because you're repeating exactly what you did, 2 hours ago?
Well, I don't think that I do think that jokes evolve. I think that every time you tell them, you might figure out a new way to tell them, a better way to tell them. You add something, you cut something down. Like I've done, like I've had like stories that were like my closer, and I go back to the same comedy club a year later, and people are like, "Yo, I'm so glad that you did that joke. I wanted my friend to hear it." And also, I laughed so hard because the joke's so different than when you told it last year, because it just got better. Like it's no different than when your mom had a good story when you were growing up, and you'd hear your mom tell the same story over and over again, and every time she told it, it gets a little bit more exaggerated, or she figures out that the beginning part's not necessary. I mean, that's all part of storytelling, And same thing, listen to the radio. I've heard you and all the other guys that I love listening to on the radio tell some of the similar story. But like when I hear it, I go, "Oh, I love this story. I can't want to hear it again." And then there might be something that gets added to it, or it's not bad to hear the same story more than once.
Are you ever doing a show maybe like with other headliners, and either they tell you, "Hey, I do a bit on this, so make sure you don't do something like that," or do you hear someone who's on before, you're like, "Oh shit, I have a very similar joke. I can't do that now."
I mean, sometimes it's not like if a headliner ever tells an opener like, "Hey man, don't do this or that or whatever," like they're probably pretty insecure in their own jokes, I mean, maybe there's something that's overlaps so much that it's important for them to say that, but for the most part, you let someone do their thing, and then whoever goes next reacts to it. If it's a strong joke, it's going to work no matter what. But I don't think that happens that often. And
who are you enjoying these days? Every now and then my wife and I, we go to the Improv a lot, and like we were most recently there last month. We went and saw Jared Freed, who I'd become friendly with.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Really funny. We saw him for the second time. And like I said, I've become friendly with him. I mean, Jews, we gravitate toward each other.
Yeah.
And he's on a really good run right now, it seems. So, but we go to the Improv a lot, and every now and then I'll message Dave. I'll be like, "Hey, do you know so and so? Seeing them for the first time tonight. Who are some guys out there or girls out there these days that seem to be doing a really good job?"
Yeah, you got to come out and see me on Sunday, January 12th at the Dania Improv. I'm going to be there, bud. So I'm counting on you being there.
Yes.
Dude, it's such an awesome time for comedy right now, man. So Jared's an awesome guy. I got to do a show with Jared. We both opened for Bert Kreischer in Penn State in their like basketball arena, and he's a alumni there. So it was so cool seeing him have that experience of performing in a sold out arena at his alma mater. That was really neat. And there's just so many guys that I met back in the day when I was a young, like Brad Williams was a guy who was headlining back in those days, but has really elevated his career, and such a nice dude. To see him killing it now is awesome. And then Brad's buddy Adam Ray is crushing it. He's such a nice guy. And he's doing some really unique stuff, dude. He's doing this Dr. Phil impression, and he does shows at the Comedy Store. And Phil, he just did a whole Netflix special. If people haven't seen it, he has an amazing, makeup and prosthetic where he looks like Dr. Phil, and he does a very funny Dr. Phil impression, and he will host an entire comedy show as Dr. Phil.
Right. I saw on his tour list, because I actually sat down a couple days ago. I wasn't too familiar with it. I watched about 20 minutes of the best of Adam Ray as Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see if any of his shows are coming down here. They're not, but some of his shows, he's Adam Ray, and some of the shows is all Dr. Phil.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so, for me, it's just such an off the wall thing. It's cool to see it work because it just shows you that you should take chances on ideas you have. Like, just go for it, because there's probably going to be an audience out there that's here for it. And why play it safe? Go for it.
Tell everybody you're making a swing around Florida here, including Dania next month, which obviously I will be there. I think the last time we saw you was probably a little more than a year ago. You were here at Dania. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Me and Forrest Shaw did a tour together through there. But this time it's just me coming solo. I'm excited to come back to Florida. This is going to be some good shows. So I'm going to be there for a couple weeks doing various different things, some barbecue stuff, some comedy stuff. But the dates I'm really excited about: December 29th up in Orlando at the Orlando Funny Bone. And then I'll be in Tampa on January 5th. And then I'll be down at Dania Improv on the 12th. So definitely excited to come back to my home state, see all my old friends, all the fans that were there for me in those early days. I get to come back and come to my shows at this. Well, like, the clubs are different now, right? Because there was Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm back then, and like those are my home clubs, and I worked them 1,000 times, emceeing or middling or whatever. And it's funny to come home, but it's like brand new clubs now, because now it's Dania, Doral, and West Palm just moved locations.
Oh, I didn't know that about West Palm. I mean, obviously I frequent the Doral and the Dania often enough.
Yeah.
But January 12th, DaniaImprov.com. I will certainly be there. You can go check out Dave. He's terrific, so you certainly want to go and hang out. What's going on with the meat? Are we going to do any barbecuing while you're down here?
I'm trying to do more and more of that, where I incorporate, like, do a tailgate before the show or do a barbecue Q&A. But I don't have anything planned right now. I do have something going on the next day that I don't know if I can announce it yet or not, but stay tuned on my socials, Dave W Comedy on Instagram. But yeah, dude, I just went down to this big barbecue thing in Key West a few months ago and put a team together, and we won the whole thing against some of my barbecue heroes. That was really cool. And then I'm going to do a festival in Houston in April, which is going to be I'm going to host the whole barbecue day during their Riot Comedy Festival. And then I just relaunched my comedy festival out here in Los Angeles in El Segundo, and I rebranded it from before the pandemic. It's no longer the Gundo Comedy Festival. It's now the Gundo Comedy and Barbecue Festival. So
okay,
I'm leaning into this meat thing, Zaslow.
Okay, all right. You got to get Hollywood Joy Taylor to come out to one of these festivals. Yeah,
I invite her. She, when she first moved out here, she came quite a bit. She was very supportive, but she's so busy, dude. She's another one that's killing it.
She is a busy girl these days. Speaking of which, Dave, of course, so January 12th, DaniaImprov.com. I will be there. You're going to be there. Everybody's going to be there. All right. Go check Dave performing at the Dania Improv. Did you watch the Dolphins yesterday? Dave's a huge Dolphins fan. Did you watch the Dolphins?
I did. I was a little scared because, look, anytime the Dolphins can have an opportunity, but they need to control their own. I mean, look, we need help from other people. But step one is to control our own destiny. We got to win out. So I'm like, it would be so Dolphins if the other things lined up, but the thing that we can control, we blow. The
Dolphins lose. The Dolphins lose the final game at the New York Jets, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. The Jets might be the only ones that are more snake bitten than we are. Like, it seems like they like when we just played them a few weeks ago, and we beat them in overtime. I was not worried that entire fourth quarter. I was like, the Dolphins will find a way to screw something up, but the Jets will find a way to screw something up even more.
Really? I mean, I was that entire second half. I was firing Mike McDaniel. Yeah. I did not think they were going to win that game.
I don't know. I just have no faith in the Jets, man. That's how bad they've gone. But yeah, dude, the Dolphins. Look, it's a bad luck year a little bit with the injuries and everything, but at the same time, man, Chris Greer, dude, can't come into this season and be like, the O-line's fine. You can't let guys like Van Ginkel go. Those are glue guys. Those are guys that you need to make an impact. You can't come into the season without an amazing backup quarterback. It's like these are all things that could have been prevented. So I think we need a new GM in there, and then hopefully the new GM will light a fire under Mike McDaniel as well to make sure that we're bringing our A game every game.
Did you see someone flew a plane over the stadium pregame?
I just saw that before we logged on. I just scrolled and saw that. And I like how it didn't just say like fire Greer or whatever. I like it. I like how they were trying to really get through to Steven Ross. They were like, "Dear Mr. Ross,
you kill him with kindness,
this is Chris
right?
Greer's fault." Yeah.
Kill him with kindness. You're a lot better chance of getting honey if you're kind, right?
Totally. Like, hey, this isn't just an emotional reaction. This is a measured statement to you that I'm going to fly on a plane over the stadium.
I'm going to fly a list of measured statement and facts over the plane, and I'm going to plead with you to please make a change there at the general manager position. Man, it's like I feel like it's a grift the Dolphins are pulling this year, where this team has no business being in the playoffs. If they get to the playoffs, they're going to get their shit kicked in. Yet we're going to week 17, and they're still in the hunt. It's a grift they're pulling.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought that I was ready to click over to basketball season, but then the Heat had that epic collapse against the Pistons the other night. I told my kids, I text our family thread, and I go, the Heat just had an epic collapse. And my son was like, there's no way we lost that game. He's like, he didn't believe me. He thought I was pulling his leg. I was like, no, dude, they lost it. Check out the box score.
I'm actually going on Thursday night. They're back in Orlando. My son and I, we're going to Orlando for the weekend. We're going to the Heat at Magic.
Yeah, that's on Thursday night. Yeah, I might be there.
At the game?
Yeah. Because
we're going to be there.
I'm flying into Orlando that day. I'm bringing 11 water polo players from California to Florida for a water polo camp, and I'm going to try to get group tickets and bring them all there. So
we're going.
All right. Can you get me like an extra 15 tickets?
I paid for my own tickets. I'm not as connected in that realm as I used to be, all right? I paid out of my own pocket, me and my son, going to the game on Thursday night. But yes, we will meet up with that'll be fun. Have you ever seen the Heat on the road? Obviously you have. If you don't live here, you've seen the Heat on the road. I've seen the Heat on the road
a good bit. By the way, I just went to, I live in Los Angeles, and I'm not too far from Inglewood, where they built the new Clippers arena. So I went last week. Place pretty nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, the whole wall that he built. I don't know if people are aware of this, but he built a section behind where the opposing team would be shooting free throws in the second half, and the tickets are really cheap. But the deal that you make is if you buy those seats, you have to stand anytime that basketball is being played, and it's like really steep. So they call it the wall. So you're just staring at that when you're shooting. And then it's all facial recognition. When you're walking into the stadium, they're like, "Welcome, Mr. Williamson," and you're like, "Whoa!" Like they don't
really,
yeah. And then like we were sitting in a box, like you walk up to the box and it scans your face, and then the door turns green and you can walk in. It's pretty crazy.
I've heard it's very steep. It's not going to be so fun when somebody falls out of their seat. They just fall straight down that wall.
Just tumble.
Yeah, it's not going to be so fun. All right. I've heard that building is really cool. DaniaImprov.com, January 12th. Dave will be there. Tell everybody the website. What's your website again?
So DaveWilliamson.com will get you there. My socials are at Dave W Comedy on Instagram and X and all those things. Please come out, man. And if you can't make it out, tell a friend, dude. I'll tell you, I've been so lucky in my life, dude, that people have, fans and friends and whatever have been so cool about supporting me. I mean, obviously you, Zaz, or whatever, but I have so many people come out to me in shows and say, "Oh, I'm here because so-and-so told me to come," even though they couldn't be here. And, it's just like, it's like always humbling, man, no matter how many times that happens.
That's awesome. Good stuff, man. Good catching up with you. Hopefully I'll see you on Thursday night. That'd be fun.
Heck yeah, man. I'll text you once I get my tickets locked in.
Awesome. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, man. Good to see you.
You too, brother. Appreciate you, Zaz.